how to create a cell reference pattern using the offset function and the address and indirect functions. So say we have something like this. So we need to find out where each of these things are. So we can see that each time it is increasing by 11. So how do we get this to happen? Well, we see we've got some data here we want to reference. So we can use the offset function. So equals offset. So that our reference cell is our first cell. Sorry, sheet 2 isn't it at once. One. Then the number of rows we want to offset is going to be row. So this is referring to the row that we're currently in. Times 11. So every time that row increases, it will go up 11. Columns 0, I guess. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we've got 707. Where does that occur? About 22 it should, or maybe 23. 23, right? Because we're starting at cell 1, and then we're going down 22 more because it's 2 times what we've got. So we want to be at 9, so 23 minus what equals 9? That'll be like 14 or so. And there we go. So we have our reference in sheet 2. Sorry, the data is actually the same in all. I was just using this as an example. But on cell 9 is 86.43, and we're returning 86.43. And if we fill this down, it'll fill. Now, unfortunately, offset isn't going to fully work if we don't have the same sheet each time. So let's look at this example here, where we're also changing the sheets. So I've got my sheet here. So this is working on this scroll through each sheet, and also we're increasing the cell by 3. So if we're using the offsets function, we can't change the sheet because the reference is to the specific sheet. So how do we change this? So we can use the indirect function, which allows us to return our text. So actually, let's just get this indirect function. Let's just get like our simple text happening. So we've got sheet, right? This is what it would look like, and row minus 1 because we're starting in row 2, minus 1, and an exclamation mark at the end. It's in quotes. There we go, we've generated our sheet, except it's not going to spill over. So we'll need to just get it to stop at 7. So this one will take the mod of this number. So the mod is just a mathematical function that pretty much tells you the remainder. So this is our number divided by 7, and the remainder each time would be this. So if we do that, we notice that we're 1 off. It only goes up to from 0 to 6. So we'll just add 1 to this whole affair. Subtract 2 from the rows to make sure they're starting at 0, and we'll add 1 at the end. So there we go. Now we have more or less the same thing, except we go to 7 and 1. So we got more or less the same thing, except we're going from 1 to 7, which is what our sheets are. Cool. Now that we have our sheet name in a usable format, we also need to get our cell number. It's always in column B, and it's always just the row times 3, which is a great start. And row times 3. So again, referring to the current row and multiplying by 3. This is just a lot of fidgeting and math and stuff. You can just sort of trial and error it out rather than actually being certain that everything's working. 9 by 12 by 42. Everything's exactly as you want it. Awesome. So now we've got our reference. We can go indirect, and it will find that particular reference and get the output from it. So if we go down, so we know that in B9 it will be 86 from before. Let's say in sheet 1 it will be 21.26. So let's go right up to the top, 21.26, and if we change this to say 500, so it's really obvious, then it's 500. Or if we go to sheet 6, B42, 1.06, e to the minus 12. And if we go back to our summary sheet, 1.06 e to the minus 12. So there you have it. That's how you use the indirect function to get some dynamic formatting offsets, and also how you use the offset function.